All right, welcome to This Explainer. Look, today we are taking on a question that has literally been debated since the invention of currency. Can money actually buy happiness? I mean, think about it. When we're kids, cash seems like the ultimate magic wand, right? If you just have enough of it, all your problems just instantly vanish. But is that actually true? Today we're going to break down the hard data, dive into the behavioral psychology, and look at some genuinely mind-blowing real-world studies to finally get you a definitive answer. So, let's just dive right into it. Can money actually buy joy? We're not just going to sit around tossing out philosophical quotes today, okay? We're diving into the hard numbers. Because honestly, if money really does buy happiness, we should be able to map it out, measure it, and prove it on a graph. And to kick things off, we've got a massive piece of evidence. A landmark study conducted by two actual Nobel Prize winners. They set out to map the direct correlation between your income and your daily joy. And they didn't just ask a few people. They surveyed a massive pool of 4.5 lakh. That's 450,000 respondents. And their conclusion? Fascinating. They proved that, yes, initially, money absolutely equals happiness. If you're struggling to meet basic needs, cash buys relief, it buys security, and it buys joy. But, and this is a huge but, it eventually hits a strict saturation point where those returns just fall off a cliff. So, you're probably wondering, what exactly is that magic number? Well, the study pinpointed the exact saturation point at $75,000 a year in the US. If you adjust that using purchasing power parity for India, you're looking at roughly 1 to 1.5 lakh rupees a month. Right at this specific threshold, making more money literally stops making you tangibly happier. The line graph just flatlines. It's the ultimate proof that wealth and happiness, they aren't just this straight, infinite line going up together forever. Now, contrast that micro data with what we see on a massive macroeconomic level. Over the last few decades, places like India have seen their national GDP absolutely skyrocket. As a whole, the country is significantly richer. But statistically, based on the research, our overall personal happiness hasn't increased at all to match that newly minted wealth. It's completely stagnated. We've got way more money pumping through the system, but we aren't exactly walking around with wider smiles, you know? The data remains surprisingly gray. Okay, so to understand exactly why macro-level money doesn't equal infinite joy, we have to zoom way in. We need to look at this totally wild micro-level study from 1978. Since basic quantitative analysis couldn't give researchers a simple black and white answer, they decided to look at the absolute opposite, extreme ends of the human experience to see how sudden, massive life changes affect our long-term mindset. On one side, you have lottery winners, people who just experience this sudden, euphoric rush of unimaginable wealth and excitement. Just boom, getting filthy rich overnight. Then, on the exact opposite side, you have accident victims, individuals who experience the sudden tragedy of losing everything, suddenly dealing with paralysis and extreme despair. We are looking at the absolute extreme peaks and the deepest valleys of human emotion here. Now, if you track both of these groups from day one, their emotions are exactly what you'd expect, right? Totally off the charts. The lottery winners are ecstatic, the accident victims are deeply depressed compared to a normal control group. But fast forward 18 months. Shockingly, despite their vastly different circumstances, both groups return to their normal emotional baselines. The lottery winners, no longer significantly happier than average, and the accident victims return to a baseline rating practically as good as a normal person. They just normalized. And this brings us to a huge psychological concept called the hedonic treadmill. Basically, our brains are practically hardwired to trap us on this thing. Your brain constantly normalizes your environment. You tell yourself, man, if I just get this one thing, I'll finally be happy. And when you get it, you are, for a minute. But scientifically, any materialistic joy is strictly short-term. You buy that brand new luxury car and you're thrilled. But eventually, that new car smell fades and you're just sitting in the exact same traffic as everyone else. Your brain adapts to the new luxury until it just feels entirely normal. And this treadmill effect creates what we call the weird stairs of lifestyle creep. It's really less like a flat treadmill and more like an endless staircase. Step 1, you get a 20% salary increase. Amazing, right? But then comes step 2. You spend an extra 20% to upgrade your life. You get the nicer apartment, the better food. Step 3, a new, higher baseline is established. Every single raise you get is instantly matched by your spending, which means you never actually catch up to any enduring joy because your expectations just keep rising right alongside your income. So, how on earth do we actually get off this trap? Well, there's this brilliant framework called the ECV, or the experiential CV. It was formulated by a medical doctor who researched this exact phenomenon, and this framework perfectly answers the ultimate human dilemma when it comes to spending our hard-earned resources. Should we focus on doing things, or should we focus on having things? It basically breaks down like this. When you focus on owning stuff, like buying the brand new phone or the flashy watch, sure, you get a quick hit of pleasure. But as the research shows, that satisfaction drops off a cliff almost immediately. Contrast that with experiencing stuff. Studies actually prove that experiences, even something as quick as a 5-day vacation, creates an enduring, lifelong memory that completely outlasts the fleeting joy of owning a physical object for 5 whole years. Let me give you a really great, relatable, real-world example from the source material. It's about a Maroon 5 concert in Mumbai. The host and his wife initially booked the absolute most expensive platinum lounge tickets for the comfort, free food, drinks, total luxury. But when they got there, they realized the lounge was incredibly far from the stage. Realizing they wanted the raw experience way more than the luxury, they actually abandoned all those VIP perks, walked all the way down to the crowded lower tier, and stood as close to the stage as humanly possible. They sacrificed physical comfort for the raw, electric energy of the live show. And because they put themselves right in the action, a staff member actually handed them a special pit pass. They got to dance right up against the stage with celebrities. They chose the experience, and it gave them a totally priceless, unforgettable memory. Because, let's be real, life is just this chaotic mix of events constantly being thrown at us. It's the fabric of our lives. We have good events, like a beautiful trip to Finland. We have bad events, those truly awful, depressing moments we don't even want to think about. And we have an absolute sea of neutral events, hidden opportunities, and totally unforeseen threats. The reality is, we have absolutely zero control over most of these things happening around us at any given moment. And this right here brings us to the final secret for enduring joy. Since you literally cannot control those external events, your baseline of happiness is entirely dictated by your internal focus. You can be the type of person who focuses all their energy on the reds, fixating on the bad events, constantly complaining, and just operating with super low energy. Or, facing those exact same problems, you can choose to focus on the greens, actively finding the hidden opportunities, focusing on the good stuff, keeping your energy high, and just smiling through it. Which brings us right back to our final provocative question. Is happiness just a choice? We've seen the data today. We know that money hits a hard limit, and that our brains will inevitably adapt to any shiny new luxury we buy. Real, enduring joy comes from the experiences we collect and the specific lens through which we choose to view our chaotic lives. I want to leave you to reflect on your own focus today. Are you just endlessly running on the hedonic treadmill, chasing the next paycheck? Or are you actually practicing gratitude for the greens around you right now? Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this explainer. Keep focusing on those greens, and I'll see you next time.